Most people don't read correctly. I saw a recent study and it showed that we forget 80% of the things that we read. And although we are practicing the habit and actually reading physically, like let's say I'm reading this book, I'm reading the words, we tend to forget a lot of the contents in this book. And to counteract that, people with this knowledge usually aim to highlight or underline words, and it's complete bullshit. When was the last time you remembered something you highlighted? You don't, because I used to be like that, and I used to do this all the time, thinking that I was productive, and thinking that by highlighting this one word, I am being productive and I'll be able to read this. When was the last time you remembered something at school? Through highlighting, I'm saying. Not a lot. Now, I've developed a way to actually remember a lot of what I've been reading, and I hope to share with this form of practice with you in this video. Now, I watched a video a couple of months ago highlighting how if you are able to take notes and double up on those notes, what I mean is take notes once and then take the notes again, you're able to memorize like double the amount of things you read. And especially if you're like trying to improve your life, you're trying to learn something like coding or machine learning or just read. It is so important that you are able to subconsciously remember a lot of what you learn, because in that way you're able to apply what you have read in a practical manner, and that will really set you ahead of a lot of people if you're able to apply what you learn, because that's the end of what we're trying to do here, right? We read, at least people who read educational books are trying to apply or learn as much as possible. Now, what is that thing, you may say? Again, guys, let's go back to high school. The things that you do remember from high school are the things you may have had to memorize for tests, right? Like we all know multiplication, addition, those are basic things. But why do we remember these? A, we rigorously memorized them and we always practiced them. And B, we took notes with our hand and likely wrote it again. And that is one thing I noticed, especially me a couple of months ago, that I was doing a ton, which was I would just read, highlight, and move on with my life. However, setting intention and attention to the things I'm reading makes it so that I am able to remember a lot of what I read. Again, in high school we had to do this. We had to intentionally memorize and pay attention to what we were doing so that we could get a good grade on our test. And I've talked about this in a separate video, but essentially what you want to do is, as you are reading, have maybe a couple of papers with you, maybe a notebook, which is ideal, and just take notes in your own words of what the thing you are reading is saying. It doesn't have to be every page, maybe after every chapter, every 5 or 6 pages, or even if you find something very, very important in the things you are reading, simply just summarize it and intentionally try to put it into your own words what you have read. And in that way, you're causing yourself to think in a more articulate and better manner. And that's really it, guys. Just take notes rather than highlight. Intentionally read, and I promise you guys, you're going to be able on the spot to memorize what you read. Like, I am able to remember what the notes were from a book I read in January. It's called Traction. It's this educational book on how to market, or like how to get attention on your product in business. And I remember a whole bunch of things like SEO, SEM, networking, marketing, in-person events. Like, I'm able to, because I took notes, I'm able to like remember it because I had to write it and I had to think for myself. So again, guys, intention, note take, and you're going to be ahead of a lot of people if you do this. Anyways, guys, if you liked the video, please let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.